I was told that they had obligations to an advertising contract that they couldn't meet, so therefore they went down the tubes. But remember these 17 state beef councils that formed to help support this? Those 17 state beef councils joined the National Livestock and Meats Board to form the Beef Industry Council. So the species were broken into groups now. They had the Beef Industry Council, they had the Pork Industry Group, and they had the Lamb Committee. So now checkoff dollars are divided according to species and spent accordingly through the Livestock and Meats Board. From 1963 to 75, are you ready for this? There were 7 beef checkoff bills that failed in Congress. All were opposed by the National Livestock and Meats Board. Well, of course, they got a lock on it now. Why wouldn't they not? And opposed by Farm Bureau. Because I was told the Texas Farm Bureau boys were so bitter over their checkoff program going broke, they absolutely did everything they could to stop anything to come down. They were so angry about it. So in 1977, we're back to the checkoff we have today, but this is what's interesting. There's over 1 million potential producers to vote in 1977. There's only 230,000 votes. 230,000 voted, 130,000 voted yes, 56 were in favor, and as you know, it failed. Did I skip? Oh, 80. 1980, there was 1 million potential voters. Only 230,000 voted again. 79,000 voted in favor. 34%, it failed again. Now, the one that passed, again, 1 million potential voters, 256,000 voted, 202,000 voted yes, 78%, the referendum passed. Ladies and gentlemen, 20% of the producers passed the law that you're living with today. 20% passed it. And this is what you got to live with. From 86 to 96, before the merger of the Beef Industry Council, the Beef Industry Council was the #1 contractor. The National Livestock and Meats Board was the #2 contractor, and National Cattlemen's Association was the #3 contractor, and they were only getting $5 million from 88 to 96. In 1992, something extraordinary happened. The Pork Industry Group and the Land Committee, they separated from the National Livestock and Meats Board. They each went their separate ways. That left the Beef Industry Council alone with the National Livestock and Meats Board. Now, it's time to attack, isn't it? The National Cattlemen started talking about, hey, let's have a merger. Let's merge the #1, #2, and #3 contractors and form one group. One vision, one voice, one mindset. Eliminate competition. 1994, and you can get this. You can go on the internet and you can look up this Senate hearing. And in this Senate hearing, Senator Goldfein from Minneapolis is all over Bob Drake from Oklahoma. Bob Drake is the president of National Cattlemen's Association, and he's on the Cattlemen's Beef Board. Isn't that convenient? And Feingold's all over him about what's this going to cause if you have this merger. And like I said, you can look this up. This is on the internet. He asked him, how many employees you got? Are you ready for this? From 85 to 97, NC only had 45 employees. Once the checkoff passed, in 93, they had 80 employees. Remember, they're only getting $5 million, and they got 80 employees. 1993, 44% of NC's budget was checkoff dollars at $5.4 million. 56% was non-checkoff dollars. That's what they get from their members and their conventions and and whoever else supports them. In 1995, the CBB, the Cattlemen's Beef Board, changed their bylaws. They had 8 changes the summer of 1995. And those changes made it so that we would have to have our meetings with another industry group. And another industry group would have influence over our committee, over the CBB. Listen, 1995, you know what happened in January 96, 6 months later? NCBA was formed. You don't think Bob Drake and committee knew what they were doing? January 96, NCBA was formed, National Livestock and Meats Board merged with National Cattlemen. The Beef Industry Council became the Federation of State Beef Councils. And are you ready for this? The Federation is a non-legal entity. It does not exist. You can pull the IRS records up, it does not exist. It's absolutely not there. But yet the Federation collects $10 million a year of your checkoff dollars. 10 million. The Federation consists of 45 state beef councils. 5 states are too small to have a beef council. Of those 45 state beef councils, there's 660 directors. And of those 660 directors, 85 of them become Federation directors. It's a pay-to-play game. In Nebraska, seats 1 through 3 cost $34,000 apiece. Seats 4 and 5 cost 2.5% of our budget, which is $250,000 apiece. Seats 6 and up are 5% of our budget, which is $500,000 apiece to be on the Federation. So in Nebraska, we spend just under $2 million to seat like 5 or 6 guys. In 2010, there were 82 of the 85 Federation directors. Well, in 2010, we were having the whole discussion about the governance change. And I stood up and I asked for a show of hands in this room, how many of you are dues-paying NCBA members? And of course, a lot of hands went up, so I rephrased my question. I said, I want to know how many in this room are not dues-paying members? 3. 3 out of 85. I said, you people have a conflict of interest. Boy, did the roof go off that room. They don't think so. In 2008, this is my last disclosure, in 2008, NCBA now has 126 employees. What could Bill Bullard do with 26 employees? 126 employees. 70% of NCBA's budget, $37 million, is checkoff dollars. 30%, only 30% of their budget's non-checkoff dollars. Forrest Roberts, the CEO for NCBA, makes $450,000 a year. 70% of his salary is paid with your checkoff dollars. Your dollars. I'm sorry. Forrest cornered me at the last convention and told me I was there to direct the checkoff. And for an hour and a half, we had a discussion. And I told Forrest, I said, Forrest, you're a smart, intelligent individual. You should not be working for NCBA. You should be working for the Federation. And he said, why is that? And I said, because they can only pay 30% of your salary. At first I started with him, I said, would you agree that a good feedlot manager will make you money? He said, yes. I said, would you agree that a great feedlot manager will make you a lot of money? He said, yes. I said, Forrest, you're a great feedlot manager, but they're only paying 30% of your salary. What are you doing working for them? So, my question now is, are we going the wrong direction? In 1985, there were 1 million beef producers with 34 million head of mama cows. Today, there's 750,000 beef producers with 30 million mama cows. And here's the obvious one. In 1994, NC had 40,000 members. Today, they have 26,000 members. They can't even see it because their greed is what's driving. And now my daughter, or just a second. So then the Beef Promotion and Research Act. This is the opening paragraph. The Beef Promotion and Research Act of 1985 says, to enable producers to establish, finance, and carry out a coordinated program of research, producer and consumer information, and promotion to improve, maintain, and develop markets for cattle, beef products. When was the last time you've seen a checkoff dollar spent to develop, improve markets for cattle? Not once, but who pays it? Cattle producers pay it. Beef producers don't pay the checkoff. Cattle producers pay it. So my daughter thought I was kind of radical, so she finished with this. I don't know if you can see it, it's a cow's tongue sticking out. Just to try and get me to calm down a little bit. But I've been in it for way too long, so I got one last one I want to show you. Let's see, how did I do this? The other day I rotated this somehow. Rotate the view clockwise. Okay, can you see this? If some of you know that in Nebraska we tried passing a brand law last year to help with animal identification. You see, that's the brand line across the United States. All of North Dakota, South Dakota follows the Missouri River. Nebraska jogs down, then it runs over and runs down state lines. All of this is brand inspection over here. Every bit of it. In Nebraska, in the brand inspection area, the brand inspectors collect $425,000 in checkoff dollars. What do you think they collect on the other side of the brand? $4,500. $4,500. Because there is no brand inspection. There is no. That's just remitted by country sales. Country sales, it's remitted as $4,500. But on this side where it's mandated and it's policed, it's $450,000. So now you look at this. So I got to thinking, geez, if that's what it is in Nebraska, I wonder what the whole rest of the United States is. In the brand area, there's 32 CBD members, meaning you get members based on the number of head of cattle. In the middle, I left out white, because on the line, Texas is going to have to deal with some of the brand cattle coming from Colorado, New Mexico, and Nebraska. Same with Kansas, same with Oklahoma. They're all going to have to deal, those feeding states are going to have to deal with some of that. Those blue states over there are far removed. Right. The white states, let me get back to my map. The white states, the red states have 32 beef board members. The white states have 32 beef board members. The blue states have 31 beef board members. The red states have 13 million head of mama cows. The white states have 11 million, which tends to make sense. But these blue states over here have 15 million head of mama cows. There's more mama cows over there than there is over here. And are you ready for this? In the red states, we're collecting $26 million in checkoff, and in the blue states, they're collecting 15. Because the law says that brand inspectors will collect. But that means the other 2/3 of the country, I guess they just get to remit whatever they feel like. So, with all that said, the power is not at the CBB. The power is at the beef councils. You've got to figure out how to get on your beef councils. Because NCBA is getting 70% of their budget from this. And if you want to hamstring NCBA when it comes to cool, when it comes to gypsa, when it comes to anything, you got to take the money away from them. You got to get rid of those 126 employees they got. And you got to get the money out of their hands. So, any questions? Yes?
If we can't get rid of the checkoff, then maybe we ought to get rid of the ability of the brand inspectors to take our money out.
Well, I wish Bill had left. I suggested with Fred Stokes and Bill and Mike, we've been on these phone calls. I think there's a great lawsuit there. You've got a law in place and only 1/3 of it's policed.